Hello, happy Monday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Jared Smith here with Lauren Jbara. What a weekend, Jared, because there was a lot of different storylines that developed, a lot of really intense games, and we capped it off with a rain lightning delay last night for the Chiefs-Bills game. Super exciting way to end it. Monday Night Football tonight. How you feeling today after the weekend? How'd your bets go?
The bets are okay. Could have done without that crazy Lions-Vikings game that ruined one of my teasers.
Don't even start me with another. The Lions find a way to lose every single week. And
the Vikings tried to lose that game too. Both teams didn't want to win that one. Neither team wanted to win that one. Penn State obviously crushed my heart. But my question for you is, and I was thinking about this last night when I was watching that lightning delay, I heard Michelle Tafoya reporting that the Bills players were very upset about the 70%, 30% allocation between peanut butter and jelly on their lightning delay sandwiches.
Yes.
What is your allocation when you make a PBJ?
You cannot have 70% peanut butter. Then your mouth just
too
starts
much
sticking together. You get the,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It has to be 50-50, maybe 60-40. Maybe 60-40 depending on the day. Strawberry jelly all the way. And it has to be cut in not like squares. It has to be cut in little triangles because less crust.
In triangles.
I know
you take the crust off?
Well, it's the same amount of crust either way, but you don't have to eat the crust when you cut it in triangles because two sides out of the
You have a scientific method for this. You put thought into this, clearly.
It started in elementary school and it's continued through my late 20s. So, Jared, that's the way to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What do you think?
I'll be honest. I think too much jelly. 50-50 jelly sounds like too much jelly because the jelly has a little bit of, a little extra oomph to it. So I think 60-40 is about right. I agree. 70-30 is probably a little too much. I could care less what way you cut it in. I usually inhale it in 2 or 3 bites anyways. And then
that was quality reporting by Michelle.
Yes, it really was.
Quality reporting. She's like, guys are sitting out here, but I have heard some complaints about the peanut butter to jelly ratio. I'm like, this is entertaining television right now.
What about the orange slices being, quote, fire? She's an absolute gem. I'd love to meet her one day. She does a great job.
It's awesome. All right. Well, we just covered one of our topics for today, the peanut butter to jelly ratio, but we still got to go over our Monday Night Football picks. We're recapping NFL Week 5. Our friend Jim Monis is here. He's breaking down his Monday Night Football picks, some of his favorite teams that he's seen so far and some of his favorite teams to watch. And then we can't end without our best bets of the day because we do have Monday Night Football. We do have postseason baseball. It's going to be exciting. Let's get right into it. All right. Monday Night Football, Jared. We have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Baltimore Ravens, and we're entering this game. They're two of the most injury-plagued teams in the league right now, and they've each lost several really important guys. This is a must-win game for both of them to stay competitive in the AFC. So when you're looking at this game, what stands out to you, and where do you find value in some of the bets for tonight?
Yeah, so first, just overall broad market. The public's on Baltimore tonight. The line has moved from 6.5 to 7. The public also relatively split on the total, but we've seen a pretty significant drop from 49.5 of the look-ahead line now down to about 46. You might find 46.5 at some shops. So it does look like the books would need a Colts over kind of combination to avoid a bad result. That being said, when I look at this game, I look at what Baltimore's been able to do defensively, and that really stands out to me. And I think if Indianapolis is going to win this game, if they're going to cover this game, they're going to have to run the football with Jonathan Taylor. Easier said than done. This is a Ravens team, and we'll get to it a little bit later in the show, that does a really good job holding running backs underneath their prop total. And that means that they're not having great games. So I think the Baltimore defense, because if it's not going to be Jonathan Taylor, then it's going to have to be Carson Wentz. And if it's Carson Wentz throwing the ball, that scares me a little bit. Now, I will say the one thing that works in Indianapolis' favor is the secondary is the most banged up unit for the Ravens. So if Carson Wentz can find some of that space against the Baltimore defense, it's going to be in the secondary because the front seven has been fantastic. I would expect this line to probably close 6.5, 7. I think if it moved too much further down than that, you would start to get a lot of Ravens money, and the books have already absorbed a lot of Ravens money so far. So I think 7, 6.5, maybe if you find a good shot with 6.5 is probably the best line you're going to get on Baltimore tonight. Ton of 7s out there if you want to back the Colts. And I would say over would be the only total look for me just because of how far the total has dropped from that look ahead number.
I actually am betting the under going into this weekend or going into tonight.
I know it's bold. LJ.
Under 46.5. And this is why. So I look at the last few seasons and the Ravens have had one of the best offenses in the NFL, right? But this season, not very good. The last 2 weeks, they only scored 42 points, combined points against both the Broncos and the Lions. And the Colts, they've struggled offensively as well. They're averaging 21 points per game, and they lack, in my opinion, explosiveness. So I think it's going to be shortened by both teams this game, and they're going to both try to establish the run. It's going to likely lead to, limited points being scored. So I think the winning team's only going to score about 24 points. I like the under. Alex has been betting a lot of unders this weekend as well. You're just living on the edge. I know Andrew O, you bet a few unders this weekend.
Ooh, rough weekend for unders in the NFL.
Exactly. There were a lot of points scored this weekend.
A lot of points scored this weekend.
You know what? But that means tonight maybe there's going to be a lack of points scored. So I like the under 46.5. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be sweating towards the end. You
will be sweating. You always instant. That's the best. If you want to get a little perspiration, a little schwitz, definitely bet an under in the NFL.
Oh my gosh.
So I mentioned the Jonathan Taylor rushing prop and just overall with the Ravens holding their opponent running backs to under their prop totals this year. That's happened in all 4 games. Every running back the Ravens have faced this year, I'll give you the names: Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift. All of them have been held under this rushing yard total of 59.5 that Jonathan Taylor is set at tonight on FanDuel. So I feel really good about the Ravens front 7 really making this a one-dimensional game. I think that's probably my best prop look tonight. I put a few sprinkles on some touchdowns, which we'll get to in a second. But I do think the Ravens front 7 will establish that front and make Carson Wentz beat him. Because to me, that's the only way that the Colts can win this game is if Carson Wentz wins it with his arm. And I think the Ravens know that too, and that's probably the more unlikely way that the Colts win the game. The more likely way that the Colts win the game is that Jonathan Taylor does what he did last week against the Dolphins and goes for 100. And that is something that I would expect the Ravens defense to take away. So Jonathan Taylor under 59.5 rushing yards, I think, is a good prop look tonight.
You're speaking about Carson Wentz having to win the game for the Colts. Well, guess what? I put my money on a couple plops, plus money props that has to do with Carson Wentz. So Mo Ali Cox, anytime touchdown at plus 500.
You stole this from me. I was gonna bet. I was gonna bet this last night, and I was like, oh, she put in the rundown already. That's
so. How did I steal it from you if you didn't even put it down?
Touchdown pirate.
It's not your pick unless you put it down on paper,
that's
my
right.
friend. All right,
I'm gonna
guess who
tell
put it
you
down on
how
paper
about that?
first? This chick. Feel free to tail it if you want. The Colts have struggled a ton this year in the red zone, right? But they found some success in week 4 by going to who else? None other than tight end Mo Ali Cox, veteran tight end, caught a pair of touchdowns from Wentz, and I think he's worth a shot to find the end zone here in week 5. The Ravens have allowed 3 scores to tight ends this season, and that's tied for second most in the NFL. It's worth a look. And then also Zach Pascal, anytime touchdown at plus 230. And I know the season's been a little tough for Mr. Wentz, but one of the constant connections he's had has been between him and wideout Zach Pascal, okay? 5 passing touchdowns this year for Wentz.
Yeah, that's his guy.
3 of them have gone to Zach. And then 2 of them last week, Mo. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. The Ravens defense is excellent against the run, like you were saying, but mediocre to bad against the pass. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for both of those. And the odds seem high to me for the leading touchdown score team. So I'm looking at both of those plops plus money props, and you're getting really good value at plus 500 and plus 230.
Mo Ali Cox. So he used to play basketball at VCU. Fun story about him. I remember watching him back in the day when he played hoops. Now he's a football player. He's like the Jimmy Graham of
it's so
modern
crazy
day.
how people
really
can just go from one sport to another. Like
VCU of all places.
I mean,
like a very random
all of
school.
those guys. Yeah, so random. But like, you just have to be like an athletic specimen to be able to do something like that.
I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it. All right, I've got some plops as well because it's Monday night, so why not? So I do think the Ravens are gonna. I think the Ravens are gonna score a touchdown tonight. I hope, because I need them. I really need them to win.
They're gonna score a touchdown.
I really need them to win this game so I don't go 0-2 on teasers this week.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, curiously, 4 games into the season, has not found the end zone yet. This is a guy that scored 7 touchdowns last year. He scored 10 touchdowns 2 years ago. He had 3 red zone targets last week. So I think they're starting to get him involved. It's the law of positive regression. A tight end as skilled as Mark Andrews, eventually he is going to find the end zone. Why not tonight? Plus 150. Not a bad sprinkle there on Mark Andrews. And then I do think the Colts are going to score a touchdown tonight too. And I think if they do, if it's not your boy Mo Alley Cox or your boy Zach Pascal, I think it's going to be my boy Michael Pittman. He had 6 red zone targets this season, and that's the most red zone targets in the league without a touchdown. So they're trying to find Michael Pittman in the red zone. They're attacking him in the red zone. He is getting targeted in the red zone. It just hasn't worked yet. I think eventually, just like Mark Andrews, he's a guy that is going to score a touchdown. He's one of the most talented young wide receivers in the league. I believe it's his second year. But he has been fantastic this season for the Colts, one of their most productive players. So I think if it's not Pittman, I agree. I think Cox or Pascal are the guys for the Colts tonight. And on the Ravens side, I think Mark Andrews eventually is going to find his way into the end zone.
Yeah, I love that. And I actually have another plop. I know I'm really riding the Colts hard tonight, but we haven't gotten to my Pickswise play of the day yet, but we will. But I did one plop plus money prop for the Ravens, and it's Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I locked it in last night at plus 106. I think it's moved a little. I think it's like, I don't know what it is right now. I think it's minus 102.
I'll take a look. Where did you bet it last night?
I bet it on FanDuel last night, plus 106.
FanDuel.
But I think it's moved to minus 108. But here's why. Will you give us the value of it? He's yet to have a multi-passing touchdown game this year, but he does have a passing touchdown every single game. And the Colts have a good pass defense in terms of yardage allowed, but not in terms of touchdowns allowed. 11 passing touchdowns through 4 games this season. That's just shy of 3 a game. And every single opposing quarterback has thrown for at least 2 passing touchdowns against the Colts this season.
Interesting.
Lamar Jackson has had some opportunities to have multi-passing touchdown games.
There you go.
But drops by receivers have prevented that. So it's not necessarily on Lamar Jackson. I love the over on this one. And I think that tonight, the receivers are going to have a little bit more grip in their hands. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
hopefully Mark Andrews gets 2 of them.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to cover the spread. I really do. And we'll get to that in my best bet. But at the same time, I think the under's going to hit. I have like bets all over the place tonight.
You are spread very thin tonight.
Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. The Colts covering the spread. I have like everything that you need for tonight. I am going to win at least one bet tonight.
You are going to win at least one bet tonight. But I don't know if you're going to win all the bets. I'll say this. It's moved. It's minus 102 now on FanDuel. So you have gotten a little positive movement in your direction.
Mm-hmm. And I would still bet it at minus 102.
I absolutely would. And it looks like you're right about the Colts passing defense really struggling. They're 26th in DVOA against the pass. So they're really good against the run, similar to the Ravens. They've struggled to defend the pass. So this game might actually have some sneaky acrobatic passing plays in it because of both the Ravens and the Colts' inability or struggles to stop the pass this season. So I think those are both really good looks.
After Sunday, we always get a little MCM, and I'm not talking Man Crush Monday. I'm not talking about Chris Hemsworth, even though I love you, Chris. We're talking about Market Correction Monday. What'd you say?
I love Chris too. He's great in Thor. He's tremendous.
Great. Tremendous in Thor.
Tremendous in Thor.
We'll save that conversation for another time. We're talking about Market Correction Monday, MCM. Every Monday, we always see the market overreact a little bit. So let's check in on some of the NFL futures in terms of winning the Super Bowl this year. One of the biggest ones that I wanted to point out, the Chargers, moving from plus 2,600 to plus 1,400. That is a massive move. Justin Herbert looked good, really, really good now through 5 weeks. And Drew Brees, during that rain delay last night, was saying the same thing. I'm holding on to my Justin Herbert MVP ticket from the beginning of the season. What I like the most, Jared, is Brandon Staley and how aggressive he is. You look, they're down 2 scores. It's 4th and 7. and they go for it. Give themselves a chance to win the game. And guess what? They did. I am loving what I'm seeing from the Chargers right now.
They went 7 of 8 on 4th downs yesterday. We were joking with Jim Monas before we came on that it's like when you're at the craps table and you just keep hitting a number and you just keep pressing it. You just keep pressing it until you crap out.
You got to ride it until you lose.
Exactly. And I listen, Brandon Staley right now, if you gave the award out today as the coach of the year in the NFL, he is favored to be the coach of the year in the NFL across most sports books. I saw his number cut in half at DraftKings over the weekend from 800 now down to almost cut in half to plus 450. So he is now the presumptive favorite to win that award. Obviously, things could change. We're only in week 5, but things right now are looking very good for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Kansas City right now is showing a lot of weakness too. So that I think is kind of a slingshot to the Chargers award hopes, because if they win the division, it puts up a chance for them to win the bye in the 1 seed. It gives them a chance to position themselves in a much better spot to win the Super Bowl, which is what the move stated over the weekend. 26-14 is a big move to win the Super Bowl.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are really starting to take the Chargers seriously, and for good reason. You know, your boy Justin Herbert's been fantastic, but don't count out that defense too, which yesterday got gashed a little bit, but that was kind of a weird game that just was back and forth. I think they'll play better next week. And on the other side, you know, when you look at a defense that can defend, and Brandon Staley being a really, smart defensive mind, and then you throw Justin Herbert on the offensive side, I mean, there's not a lot of holes on that team. So they are now being taken very seriously to win the Super Bowl, and for good reason.
Yeah, and speaking of another team that doesn't have a lot of holes right now, it's the Buffalo Bills. We saw what they were able to do last night. My favorite was Josh Allen hurdling a man. Second time he's done that. I mean, for how big he is, how? I feel like I would just flop over. I mean, he was incredible last night. The Bills were incredible last night. There's not many weaknesses on that team. How have you seen their Super Bowl odds move?
Their Super Bowl odds were high to begin with, but they're getting lower. They're getting shorter. It looks like right now a 3-way tie, not quite a tie. Kansas City's dropped off a little bit, but it looks like a 3-tiered team at the top. With Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City. And even despite the losses, Kansas City is still kind of being looked upon as a Super Bowl favorite. But right now, on FanDuel at least, the Buffalo Bills are the top spot to win the Super Bowl at plus 550. The Bucs right there at 6-1, and then the Chiefs at plus 750. And then there's that little bit of a drop off until the second tier. So right now, the Bills are squarely entrenched in tier 1, and they deserve to be after last night.
Absolutely. And another team I want to talk about a little bit, where maybe not much value, but the Cardinals, 5-0 now for the season. And I know you love the Cardinals. I know you love Kyler, baby. What did you see from them yesterday? So
again, I know the second I start bragging and talking about how awesome the pick was, they'll start sucking. So let's just say they've got a very interesting game this weekend because they're 5-0 and they're facing the Cleveland Browns, who just got absolutely walloped. Defensively at least. And the Cardinals are underdogs this weekend. So keep a very interesting eye on that spread.
Yeah, that's going to be one to look at for sure.
Yeah, that one kind of sent me through a tizzy because they are begging you to take the Cardinals, but I think the Browns might be the sharper side. But big picture, it's all about injuries. And I think the reason why the Cardinals are underdogs this weekend, Rodney Hudson got hurt on Sunday. He's their all-star center. He's one of the guys that they brought in during the offseason. He's been fantastic anchoring that offensive line. Max Williams also got hurt. He's their fantastic tight end who's having a career year. So injuries, the great equalizer in the NFL. You saw what happened to the Giants yesterday. You saw what happened to Penn State on Saturday. Great equalizer in all of football. If they can't stay healthy, then that number is going to fall because they're going to drop some games. But if Arizona stays healthy, right now, they're the leader in the NFC West, which is the toughest division of football. If they win the NFC West, tough not to say that they're not a Super Bowl favorite, right?
Seriously.
But they have to stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other team I want to talk about, speaking of the Browns, I want to go on the other side of the field, the Cowboys. They're looking like the real deal this season. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Dallas Cowboys. What do you see from them?
I think Dallas, I'll be honest, Dallas is an interesting team. The Sharps have faded the Cowboys every step, every turn this year. We saw the line sharpen up against the Eagles, against the Panthers. We saw it go down to 7 against the Giants on Sunday. It didn't matter. They won by 3 scores. I don't know why the Cowboys are such a negative team in the eyes of the Sharps, but maybe this is the week that they finally change their tune on them and the line moves in Dallas's favor. But I don't know. It's kind of weird because I think when I look at Dallas, I look at a lot of upside with Dak Prescott and that offensive line and the way they're running it with Zeke. But the defense giving up a lot of yards probably scares me. I think that game goes a lot differently yesterday if Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley don't get hurt. I think that game probably stays close. But, man, Dallas has looked really good. It's really tough to fade Dallas right now. But the Sharps are still, they're still not sold yet.
Yeah, I know Ezekiel Elliott also said that he's feeling more like himself every single day, that he's back to his game. He's feeling good. And you definitely see that on the field. To talk a little bit more about all of the games from yesterday and also Monday Night Football picks, let's bring in our good friend, Jim Monos, former NFL scout and front office exec. Jim, how are you doing? Happy Monday.
Monday, still fun day. And I
was waiting for it.
I couldn't stop talking last week about the Bills' first half. The Bills, what they did last night was it just warmed my heart. I slept better. You just sleep better when you get, on that Sunday night when you get one right. You don't toss and turn thinking Monday's got to be my bailout game. I don't need the bailout game. Everything worked last night, except that delay scared me. That weather delay scared me too. I thought, is this gonna derail this Bills offense right now? Them sitting, and Josh Allen was phenomenal. What I tell you, the Chiefs defense garbage. Spagnuolo's history.
Yes.
When you see his history of defenses that don't have great players all around him, like the Giants had, he doesn't get it done. So that's interesting. It's interesting.
I will say, for rain delays, I usually hate rain delays. And last night, watching Chirico and Breeze and Dungy and Michelle Tafoya and all them, that was a very entertaining rain delay, don't you think?
Very professional.
Yes.
Very professional. I thought they did a great job, yeah.
Absolutely, a great job. All right, we're looking ahead to Monday now, but I want to actually go back to Sunday in a little bit, but I want to get to your Monday Night Football picks first. So we're looking ahead to tonight. We got the Colts playing the Ravens. What stands out to you as some of the best value bets, and who do you have your money on tonight?
So I'm going to go with the Ravens tonight, given the 7. And I hate the number. We talk about the number all the time, but here's why. I'm not a Carson Wentz fan. Let's just talk about it. The guy he's spastic in the pocket. Whenever there's pressure, you're going to see wild things from him. He dives around, he flops around, he takes weird hits. He sails the ball a lot. His receivers luckily he has big receivers and tight ends that make really great catches. He's not accurate. I'm not a Carson Wentz fan. That's one thing. The Colts defense, yards per attempt, 27th. The Ravens offense, 5th. They throw the ball down the field. The Ravens take shots. I'm a big Mark Andrews believer. I know, Jerry, you were talking about him. I'm taking his over, and I love him. I'm taking his over in yards tonight. He's always a target down the field on those crossing routes, down the seam. I like the end zone thing, Jared. That was interesting. I mean, they target him. That's Lamar's guy.
Three targets last week. You figured he would score one of them.
Got to get in. Yeah. And if Marquise Brown, that Detroit game was crazy where he dropped the ball. I mean, they are taking the Ravens offense isn't like you think it is.
Lauren's going to change her pick before the end of the show.
Lauren, listen.
I'm like,
look,
she's getting squirming around in her seat over there. I can see it.
Hey,
what was the word that you used? I'm getting a little spastic over here.
She's getting spastic in her seat.
Well, no, I like to always compare guys a little bit to reality TV. So Carson Wentz,
I like when you do that.
Carson Wentz reminds me of my boy Gus in Floribama Shore, where
Gus, who are these people?
I'm a big Floribama Shore fan.
Of course you are, Jim. Of course
Gus is a laid back, comes across as a laid back Florida guy. As soon as things get a little crazy, he's off his rocker. He's ready to fight everybody. He's all over the place. That's Carson Wentz. I'm telling you, he has no smooth calmness in his game. So I'm against Carson Wentz. I'm against the Colts pass defense. So I'm going Ravens. I'm going Andrews over his yardage total. And Jared, you talked me into I might parlay that with the touchdown too.
Love it. You got no chill. We call those guys no chill. No chill.
Absolutely
like,
no chill.
Like I'm not hanging with Carson Wentz.
You know, I hang with Carson.
Not,
he's the guy that's going to make you do the crazy thing at like 3 a.m. and like, get arrested or something. Okay. When we look back at yesterday, obviously the Bills game stands out, but I think the two teams now that I guess I'll mention 3 teams. There's 3 teams now that have kind of come from the back of the pack that have really started to emerge. We just talked about it. Chargers, Cowboys, and Cardinals. Those teams right now are very squarely in the middle tier of the Super Bowl odds board. If you had to pick one today, you're like, this team is going to win the Super Bowl today. Of those 3, bottom feeder teams that have now come into the forefront, Cowboys, Cardinals, or Chargers, which one would you take today to win it all?
I love that. I'm going to go Cowboys. Only because I think their formula for success works in the NFC a little bit. That AFC is just loaded with young, talented quarterbacks that I wouldn't want to pick against any of those guys right now. So I think Dallas's recipe for success with a franchise quarterback running the ball, playing better defense with Dan Quinn. That team to me in the NFC is going to be tough to beat.
Who do you pick, Jaron?
It's hard not to agree with his take there. So Arizona's like the most volatile team of the 3, I would say. I think Arizona has the highest ceiling because of Kyler Murray, but they have the lowest floor as well. So tough to really look at them long term as a viable Super Bowl contender. I hope that they're in it because I'm paying for everyone's drinks if the Cardinals are in the Super Bowl this year. But it's really hard to realistically put them in that game because of just how volatile they are. I'll be honest, man. The Chargers, if they didn't have to play in the same division with the Chiefs and they didn't have to play in the same conference as some of these other really great AFC teams like the Bills, I would be much higher on them because I think Justin Herbert's the real deal, and I think Brandon Staley is a hell of a coach. But I would say because of the competition, which is what you said, Jim, I agree. I think Dallas, because you would expect Tom Brady not to be able to keep this up for the full season. Now maybe he does, and he's just a modern marvel. But to me, they have a little bit of a regression, in Tampa Bay, and I don't trust the Packers. I really don't. They should have lost that game yesterday. So you're telling me that the NFC is Tampa Bay and Green Bay, and that's it. There's an opening there for a team to kind of insert themselves into the conversation. And you're right, Dallas has looked the part.
I do really like that pick, Jim. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is. Okay, one last question for you before we get to our play of the days. One biggest takeaway that you saw from yesterday, all of the games. One biggest thing that stood out to you.
Kickers.
All right. Is this a Lions dig or what?
No. It's an every team dig. It's so bad. It's an epidemic. And penalties, Jim. Kickers and penalties.
Can you talk about the game last night and the refs were all over the place in terms of penalties?
Terrible.
I think the rules have made the game really hard for the officials to officiate. That call on Frank Clark by rule, when he dug that shoulder in on Josh Allen, you have to call the flag. Plus, Frank, they're going to watch Frank Clark anyway. Yeah. That was obviously nobody thought that was a penalty, and that might have
changed. It was a makeup call from the bogus holding on the previous call. And they do that all the time. It's so tough.
The holding call they called on Deion Dawkins early in the game after the Bills got that turnover, that was a bad call. So it's a hard game to officiate right now. The kickers, I still don't know who won the Cincinnati game. I don't know who won. I took the Bengals money line and I felt like I won. Yeah. I felt like I won. But it's all right. It's Monday Still Fun Day. It doesn't matter.
No, it's really tough to watch these games with the injuries and the penalties. It makes it really tough. It takes the fun out of it at times.
You have to give yourself a delay, a 10-second delay to celebrate.
Yes. You can't. You wait. It's like the touchdown happens and you're like,
you sit there like,
wait a second, hold it.
Okay, there's no flags. Okay, we can celebrate now.
Oh, Jim, it's always a pleasure having you on. I hope you have a great Monday Still Fun Day. Good luck to your picks. I'm fading you on my best bet today, so
I heard that.
Wait for that. Jim, thanks so much. Have a great Monday Still Fun Day. We'll see you probably next Monday Still Fun Day. Time to get to our best bets of the day. I know there's no Pickswise 3-star play of the day, right? So want to just get right into our best bets. Who do you have?
Well, I can give you some 1-star plays, and I can give you a same-game parlay that our boy Sloppy John put out there on the site.
Let's hear Sloppy John's play.
So Sloppy John actually, I think, did these 1-star plays as well. So if they lose, you know who to blame. He's on the Ravens -7 and the under. And then his same-game parlay, this one's a juicy one. Marquise Brown, 70-plus yards, 2+ touchdowns. It's almost 14-1. Now, that I know that's a really explosive game for Marquise Brown, but he certainly showed you that he can be explosive this year. So that is Sloppy John's parlay and picks of the night.
I like it. All right, Jared, who do you got?
All right, we have not talked about Major League Baseball yet, and it needs to be talked about because the playoffs have been absolutely lit the last few nights. They've been really good.
As Michelle Tafoya would say about orange slices, fire. Continue.
The Rays-Red Sox game was absurd last night. 13 innings, and it ended on a walk-off homer, but the top of the previous inning, it ended in the bottom of the 13th. In the top of the 13th, Kevin Kiermaier hit a ball that went off the wall, that little baby wall out there in right field at Fenway Park. Then it hit the right fielder. I think it was Verdugo. I forget who was out there. And then it went over the fence. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a home run. I was, Jose Canseco. Remember when the ball went off his glove and went over the fence? I was like, oh my God, it's a home run. They turned out calling it a ground rule double, which means none of the runner from first wasn't able to score. And the Rays were unable to score in the top half of the 13th inning. Obviously, after something crazy like that, the Red Sox were bound to score in the bottom half of the inning. My point is, I think the baseball gods are going to be smiling on the Tampa Bay Rays today after that ridiculous play in the top of the 13th last night. So I don't like Eduardo Rodriguez's numbers against the Rays. I think Tampa Bay, it's a TBD for them, the famous TBD starter. And I think Tampa Bay is going to piece a game together, and they're going to beat the Red Sox and send this back to a Game 5 down at the Trop later this week. So I'm going with the Rays money line as my play of the day. It's even money. I believe I got it on DraftKings. And I think the baseball gods, the gambling gods, are going to give Tampa Bay a break today after that disaster ridiculousness last night.
I like it, and I like that you got it at plus money, too. It's always a good one.
There you go.
And baseball has been exceptionally fun to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing more games this week. It's going to be so much fun.
4 today. There's 4 games today.
Isn't that wild? I know. It's going to be one of those, I'm not leaving the couch tonight with 4 baseball games and Monday Night Football. I'm going to be planted right here all day, all night. I love it. All right, Colts. I have them tonight.
You didn't change your mind.
I still didn't change my mind. I'm going to stay strong in my bets, also because I already locked it in. So I can't change my mind at this point. So I have Colts +7, and I look at it. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games to the Ravens. I know that's not making my case. Not great, but 7 points is a lot in a game like this, especially when the Ravens are beat up on both sides of the ball. Wentz is coming off of his best game of his Indianapolis career, 228 yards and 2 touchdowns he threw for. And I think that if he doesn't turn the ball over, the Colts can find some success on the ground with Jonathan Taylor. They can win. Like, those 2 things have to happen. Jonathan Taylor needs to find some success. Carson Wentz needs to hold on to the football. Yeah. I think the Colts +7 is a safe bet. They've managed to cover the spread in 10 of their last meetings against the Ravens, and I already locked it in. So I am all in. Colts +7 tonight against the Ravens. I'm feeling good about it. Monday Night Football. Monday's still fun day, Jared. Did that change your mind at all? Or are you still riding the Ravens?
Well, I have the Ravens in a tease, so I just need them to win the game, which, we can middle that.
I feel like the Ravens are still going to win, but 7 is a lot.
It is. I'll say this. If those 2 things that you said happen, Carson Wentz doesn't turn it over, and Jonathan Taylor, exceeds his rushing total, has a good game on the ground, absolutely, then the Colts can win this game because they're a well-coached team and they're a good defensive team, and they're a tough team. And they proved it last week because they were facing a lot of adversity, but they went down to Miami and got a win. So I think there's a lot of positives with Indy, but it's really tough to ignore the big elephant in the room, and that's Carson Wentz. I don't know if I see him going into Baltimore and playing well enough to get a win. Maybe they cover, But I would be very surprised if we turn on this little program on Tuesday morning and you and I are talking about how great Carson Wentz played last night. But stranger things have happened in the NFL. You never know.
I know. I feel good about Carson Wentz. He has 5 passing touchdowns the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be – I think he's finding his rhythm.
All right.
I mean, he's been playing hurt.
See.
He's been playing hurt.
Yes,
I think that week 5, it's going to be a good showing for him. We'll see what happens. But until then, that is it for us. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Jbara. Go Colts. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.